Hey everyone, today we're diving into a personality type that, many of us know we might even rely on them. Heck, maybe you are one. I'm talking about the fixer. We're going to get into the story of how their greatest strength can also become their biggest struggle, and how sometimes the real solution is just letting go.
Okay, think about it for a second. You know exactly who we're talking about, right? While everyone else is kind of freaking out about a problem, this person, they're already 2 steps ahead, mapping out the solution. They just handle it. But what's really going on under the hood? What's happening beneath that calm, super capable surface? So first, let's look at the fixer in their element. This is the version we all recognize, right? The go-to problem solver, our everyday superhero, the one person everyone turns to when things start to go sideways. So at its core, this is what a fixer is. They have this fundamental drive to create order out of chaos. When a crisis hits, their gut instinct isn't to freeze up, it's to act. They are almost always the first person to step in and try to take control of the situation.
And this is exactly why we see them as superheroes. I mean, look at these strengths. They all point to one thing: being incredibly effective when the pressure is on. They're the person you call because you just know they'll get it done. Their brain is it's wired for solutions, which makes them absolute rock stars in a crisis.
But where does this superpower come from? I mean, are people just born this way? Born able to handle all this chaos? Well, it turns out it's usually not something you're born with. It's more of a learned behavior. Which brings us to the fixer's origin story. And this journey, well, it lays it out perfectly. For a lot of fixers, this all starts pretty early in life, often in situations where they had to be super self-reliant, where things just weren't handled for them. So over time, that problem-solving muscle gets worked out so much that it becomes an automatic reflex. And that brings us to today, where for them, fixing something doesn't even feel like a choice anymore. It feels like a deep-seated need.
All right, so we've seen what a fixer does, and we have a pretty good idea of how that pattern gets started. But now, let's go a little deeper. Let's talk about the why. Let's go inside the fixer's inner world to really understand what's driving this powerful need to solve everything.
And this is just so crucial to understand. On the outside, what we see is them taking charge. But what they feel on the inside is this immense personal responsibility for keeping things stable. We see them creating order out of chaos. They feel a sense of relief and comfort in having control over uncertainty. And maybe the biggest one of all, we see them being helpful, but underneath that, their self-worth is often deeply, deeply tied to being the one who is needed.
And this is where our story takes a turn. Because that incredible superpower, that amazing ability to fix just about anything, it has a hidden weakness. A kind of kryptonite that shows up when the problem isn't a situation, but a person. This one simple sentence, it gets right to the heart of the whole thing. For someone whose entire identity is built on solving problems, this idea that not everything is meant to be solved, well, it can be totally worldview shattering. Let's break that down a bit. Think of the fixer's skills as a toolkit. That toolkit is perfect for situations. Broken processes, logistical nightmares, things you can actually map out and manage. But that same toolkit is almost completely useless when you try to apply it to people. You can't just project manage someone's emotions or create a to-do list to solve their grief. It just doesn't work that way. This chart really gives us a powerful visual of what's going on inside their head. A fixer's brain automatically dedicates like 90% of its energy to finding a solution. And the actual processing of the emotion behind the problem, that gets maybe 10%. Now, it's so important to understand. This isn't a lack of caring, it's just a difference in how their brain prioritizes things.
So what happens when you try to apply that solution-first mindset to a problem that really needs emotion-first support? Well, you get frustration. The fixer gets frustrated because their solutions aren't working, and the person they're trying to help gets frustrated because, really, all they wanted was to be heard, not to be solved like a puzzle.
So where does that leave us? The answer isn't for the fixer to stop being so capable. Not at all. It's about adding a new, way more advanced skill to their toolkit: the power of letting go. It's about reframing that whole idea, not as a failure, but as the ultimate form of wisdom and, funny enough, control.
So what does that actually look like? Well, first, it's just about recognizing that automatic impulse to jump in and solve it. Just notice it. Second, quickly check in and ask yourself, wait, am I accidentally just steamrolling their emotions right now? And third, consciously choose a new action.
which, and this is the tricky part, might mean choosing inaction. Sometimes just listening, just being there, is the most powerful thing you can do.
So let's bring this all home. The really crucial point here isn't about judging anyone. It's about awareness. It's about being able to appreciate the incredible, undeniable strengths of the fixer, while also being honest about the hidden costs that come with that relentless drive to make everything okay.
And that brings us to our final thought. For every fixer listening out there, and for everyone who knows and loves one, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. In a world that is constantly screaming at us to solve, manage, and control, what new things, what deeper connections could you actually gain by choosing, just for a moment, not to fix it?